I've had an amazing career, Sana. I've worked in all aspects of a typical infrastructure business. So I've worked on the engineering side. I'm a chartered engineer. I've worked in asset management. I've worked in operations. And then in terms of the companies, I've worked for a consultant. I've worked for an engineering contractor. I've worked for the client. And as I've done that, I've worked primarily for Thames Water in the past, and then more recently for Network Rail. So really amazing career. But slightly ironically, the bit that I enjoyed most was not the work bit, but I've taken just over 12-month periods off work to spend time with family and to do some stuff that I wanted to do outside of work. And I probably learned more doing that than I did at work. So and it also shows that you can have a career, you can stop work, and then you can go back to work. Well, look, I think the biggest challenge for me is that despite the job that I do, I am really introverted and painfully shy. And it's taken me all of my career to get used to being uncomfortable. So public speaking, anything like that, I find really, really difficult to do. And so I've literally spent 25, 30 years getting used to being uncomfortable and dealing with that challenge. So I'm not sure that everybody agrees with me about this, but I think it's first and foremost about fairness, because everybody should have an equal opportunity. So maybe it's a bit cliched, but it works for me. And so it's about fairness. It's also about respect, and it's about treating other people as you would want to be treated. My wife and my children would describe themselves as black, Asian, minority ethnic, and I want them to be respected in the same way as I want to be respected. So the second thing is about respect, and then I think the third thing, dare I say, is about sort of efficiency and value, because diversity, a diverse team, a diverse society, it creates diverse solutions, and so that would be the third element. I don't know what you call it, value or efficiency, but it's something in that space. I'm not sure that I would differentiate between what a woman brings to something, or a man, or any particular stereotypical type of person. I think that what we need in any part of life is diversity and different thoughts, and I guess if we do apply a bit of a stereotype, then it would be true to say that maybe women do think differently to men, but it's far more complicated than that. So the more diverse thinking that we have as we try and solve complicated engineering problems, the more likely it is that we're going to come up with great solutions, which is what engineering and indeed science is all about. My dad said something to me when I was starting to be an engineer. He was a structural engineer, and he said, look, the thing that separates an engineer from somebody, from a member of the public, if you like, a non-engineer, is simply that you can build things quicker and safer and cheaper than a layperson. But to do that, you need diversity of thinking, you need great ideas, you need different ideas, and so what women bring obviously is maybe some different ideas, and we're missing out on that at the moment, with only 15 to 20% of our colleagues being women. So I think first of all we've got to understand why there are so few women in leadership roles, and I think there are two aspects to it. First of all, I think we've got to acknowledge that there is unconscious discrimination. I think we have to acknowledge that the stereotypical qualities of a leader are more associated with the stereotypical qualities of a man. So typically, if a man behaves to type, people would go, oh, you're quite a good leader. Whereas if a woman behaves in the same way, it doesn't necessarily land with people in a positive way. It's often negative, which is a huge cultural challenge. Of course, we've got a by definition, we've got most leaders are men, and therefore inevitably you get some groupthink in terms of recruitment and some unconscious bias, and therefore the chances are that we have a risk of perpetuating the problem, because there are so many men as leaders, and that is just a challenge. It's not that men are bad and they're bad leaders. It's just a simple truth that we tend, if we're not very careful, to recruit in our own likeness. So there's some problems there. I think we need to recognise the truth, which is men are more self-promoting than women, and we know this, and there are countless examples, and that's not a criticism of men or indeed women. It's just a truth. So we need to work out how can we help women to be equally self-promoted and promoting, and that there's a level playing field there. And then there's this really, really complicated problem that I have no answer for whatsoever, which is one of sort of social and culture and behaviours, which I think is a really tough nut. But what that creates is an environment where I think that women typically are more challenged when it comes to making a choice between career and family. Now, it's not always the case, but I think it's often the case, and there's this sort of cultural pressure that exists on women to maybe stay and look after the family, and also even to the point where before a woman is in maybe even a relationship, maybe they're already thinking, well, at some point I want to start a family, and therefore I'm not going to push my career because I want a family first, sort of thing. And all of those things, I think, are stopping women from being truly represented as leaders. And there are so many different things that we need to help address all of those different complicated issues. Some of them are with the employer, and some of them are things that we can do. Some of them are the way that we recruit, and then some of them are much wider in terms of culture and behaviours. So I think a really important way of attracting more women and more ethnic minorities into Network Rail and into engineering and science-based careers is with role models, and sort of showing colleagues the art of the possible. So one of the things that I'm lucky to have from a gender perspective is I've got a balanced team. So about half of my direct reports are women, and about half of those are mums as well, which is really great. So that's and that's not been an accident. I've worked really hard to make sure that the Southern Region exec is balanced in terms of gender, and we are pushing hard to, as opportunities arise, to make sure that that's true in terms of ethnicity as well. But more work to be done. But we are, but one step at a time. So that's great. And what does that mean? That means that colleagues both in and outside of Network Rail can look at members of my team and go, well, actually, you can do it. You can be a really senior leader, and you can be a mum, and you can be successful in all of these things. You don't need to make these difficult choices that quite often we feel that we have to make. Doesn't mean you don't have to work incredibly hard, but you can absolutely achieve it and make that balance. Leading from the front is really important. Flexible working, I think, is also important, because I think that and COVID-19 has really revealed this, Sana, that people want and need flexible working. And if we can create an environment where people are really comfortable to operate in different ways to how we traditionally operated with flexible working, then when families are being started, whether it's with a man or a woman, but more typically a woman, then the mum can feel like she can either come back part-time, or she can align her career to bringing up her new family, and that will, and sort of playing to what I said earlier, in the event that we can do that, then when younger women are thinking, well, okay, do I need to can I push on with my career, they'll go, yeah, absolutely, because starting a family isn't going to destroy it. It's just going to fit in as part of my wider sort of like life plan. All of these things will help to promote women to do science and engineering and also do leadership roles. Engineering is an incredible career. It is incredibly rewarding in all sorts of ways. We don't have enough women in engineering, full stop, and we don't have enough women in engineering within Network Rail. And so we are all losing out as a result of that. Women are losing out as a result because they're not enjoying a great career, and Network Rail is losing out because we're not getting the diversity and the skills and the different perspectives that women can offer. So I would absolutely encourage women to push their careers through in terms of engineering, to not feel that they've got to make a choice in terms of family or career, to look around at some of the senior leaders and see just what can be achieved for really quite young women taking senior leadership roles in engineering and making a real difference in a really, really important service environment.